status should not be our burden. We have solutions, and we hope you allow the district team to work with us in an efficient manner. Since the last board meeting, multiple meetings with LSEA leadership have been canceled by the superintendent. We have met once informally since March 10th. Emails have gone mostly unanswered or oddly answered, lacking clarity or information. LSEA has shared with you via email questions around language and items written in the cabinet level contracts you will be voting on tonight. Hopefully you read that email and consider our questions and comments. Our TK Kinder Instructional Committee met with cabinet and shared solutions for schedules next year. The LSEA team was then asked for more unneeded and already answered and addressed follow-up information from the superintendent. This is just stalling the decision. The school sites, parent community, and after-school programs need these details. The district is also stalling on posting jobs that have direct impacts to our classrooms. We seem to be very interested in hiring all the admins, but not getting out there to fill classified and classroom jobs. I haven't said it in a while, but do know you can always reach out to LSEA members to have a conversation to see how things are going. There's a lot going on. We are available and craving to be heard and listened to. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think Nicole is going to make a presentation for CSEA this evening.
Thank you, President Brocchini. Good evening, Board Trustees, Cabinet, and community members. My name is Nicole Ortega, and I am the second Vice President of CSEA Chapter 128 and a longtime district employee and former student. Today marks day 302 without a contract for our classified staff. That's 302 days of showing up, 302 days of continuing to serve our students, 302 days of doing the work that helps to keep this district running without a fair and settled agreement. And yet, throughout this entire time, classified employees have remained committed, professional, and collaborative. Every day, our employees show up. Para-educators support students with learning needs. Office staff keep our schools running and families connected. Custodial and maintenance teams ensure safe and functioning campuses. Child nutrition cooks make sure students are fed. Classified staff are not supplemental to this system. They are essential to it. We have committed to doing our part. Now we ask you to do yours. The district often speaks about investing in student success, but student success is directly tied to the well-being of all district employees. When staff are supported, students thrive. When staff is not supported, the system begins to strain and break down. Right now, the district is spending significant dollars on contracted staff to fill vacancies. These are vacancies that persist every year because many classified employees, because many classified positions do not offer a living wage. This is not just unsustainable, it is a reflection of choices. And we must be clear about something else. The financial challenges that we are facing today did not happen overnight. They have been shaped in part by delays in meaningfully addressing compensation in this district. When action is postponed, the cost only grows. At the same time, salary increases continue to be directed toward the highest earners in this district, while many classified employees struggle to remain in the community that they serve. That inequity can no longer be something that we only simply acknowledge. This is something that must be corrected because compensation reflects priorities, it reflects values, and it reflects leadership. After 302 days, classified staff are still waiting to see those priorities clearly reflected. And so tonight, we are asking for more than continued conversation. We are asking for a clear path forward with meaningful action. We are asking the district to bring forward a proposal that meaningfully addresses the compensation disparity for classified employees and that demonstrates a commitment to retaining the employees who support our students every day. We are asking for urgency. We are asking for accountability in moving this process forward to resolution. Because 302 days is not just a number. It represents nearly a full calendar year, which is almost the length of 2 full school years, without agreement, without closure, without the stability of our staff getting the compensation that they so rightfully deserve. CSEA employees and all classified employees remain committed to this district. We may remain committed to our students, but this commitment cannot be one-sided. After 302 days without a contract, continued delay is no longer acceptable. This must be brought to resolution. On a lighter note, CSEA Chapter 128 would like to shine a light on our district's paraprofessionals. These are hardworking, dedicated employees who make meaningful differences in the lives of our students every single day. Paraprofessionals support classroom instruction. They work one-on-one with students who need extra help, assist in managing classroom environments, and help implement individualized education plan services. They provide encouragement, patience, and consistency, often serving as a steady source of support for students both academically and emotionally. From guiding small group activities to helping students stay focused and confident, their contributions are essential to student success. CSEA Chapter 128 is proud of all of our above and beyond recipients. Our classified employees are dedicated, hardworking people who care deeply about our students, our schools, our district, and our community. CSEA will continue to shine a spotlight on Pacifica School District's wonderful classified employees. We believe that the hard work, dedication, and contributions of our valued classified employees should be celebrated and rewarded. Union proud, union strong. CSEA Chapter 128 also sends congratulations to Catherine Presenzi and Rachel Romo, who are being brought forward on tonight's agenda for board approval. CSEA truly appreciates when our district promotes from within, recognizing the talent, dedication, and commitment of our colleagues. We wish them both continued success in their new roles. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Good night.
Thank you. All right, people wishing to address the board. Let's start with Leland Pang.
Hi, good evening, Board of Trustees. I'm Lillian Pang and a board member of Ocean Light School. I'd like to provide a brief update on our conversations with district staff. Our team had a follow-up meeting on March 20th with Dr. Bowman and district financial leadership, as well as our respective councils. We really appreciated the opportunity for a thoughtful and constructive conversation, and we came away with a clearer understanding of the district's priorities as well as constraints. And we also believe that there was a stronger shared understanding of Ocean Light schools. Just as importantly, we began to identify a range of structures and arrangements for a program like Ocean Light that would be worth exploring together. In that meeting, we discussed the distinction between governance and funding of charter schools and how different combinations provide flexibility, allowing Ocean Light to maintain program integrity while also aligning with the district's priorities. We identified a potential starting point in an independently governed but locally funded model, one that could allow Ocean Light to operate its program while contributing financially to the district and supporting broader stability. We also aligned on the importance of grounding this work in real data. The district indicated a willingness to share key financial and operational information such as per pupil expenditures, staffing, allocations, and facility capacity so that we can model scenarios that are realistic and responsive to the district's actual constraints. It has now been over a month since that meeting, and we're still waiting for that data. Hopefully it'll come soon. We intend to move from ideas to something concrete and responsible, something that we can help the district, something that would help the district to retain students, to draw in new enrollment, and contribute to the long-term financial stability of the Pacifica School District. To do that well, we do need to anchor our proposals in the district's real financial and operational context. But we remain encouraged by the direction of the conversation so far. We remain open and committed to collaboration and to find a path forward that benefits students and families and the district. We're looking for a pathway that helps the district restore trust, stabilize, and meet the needs of students for the long-term future. Our team loves Pacifica, and we want to be part of the solution to the challenges that the district is facing. We especially encourage the board to stay curious and open to what these solutions could look like. And we have learned a great deal about how charter schools can be structured. And we look forward to the opportunity to meet with you guys individually so that we can kind of answer some of those questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker is Karen Key.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to address you guys this evening and to make some public comments. I'd like to address the board as the president of the Parent Advisory Committee. So the PAC was initially convened in January, and we've had 3 meetings so far. The first was to establish what the PAC was for. And the second, we elected officers to the PACs and had initial discussion about the mid-year LCAP report. And during our third meeting, we raised concerns about the LCAP mid-year report, and we had hoped that we would continue the conversations to have a good, conversation with the district, have very engaged parents discussing all our LCAP concerns, only to be told, initially it was kind of the fourth meeting was during Ocean Shore Sunset Ridge Multicultural Day, so we queried it whether it was a sensible time to do it. And then Carla left and then said, oh, don't worry, we'll have the April meeting. But now we've been told that the April meeting is no longer going to happen, and actually all PAC meetings for the following months have been cancelled, and we will reconvene with new members in the new year. Our main concerns about the LCAP was the amount of money that had been allocated to various LCAP goals, but they had not been spent. So it included $100K for onboarding and mentoring new teachers, $100K for iReady professional learning, $200K for implementation of integrated and designated ELD and professional development, $65K for social-emotional embedded classroom strategies, $60K for attendance campaign and parent education workshops. I could go on, and I added up how much of the unspent money, and there's about $400K so far. So as a parent advisory committee, we're concerned about how that would enable the district to attain their LCAP goals if they haven't spent the money, and also the district's in financial concern. So we were worried about what's going to happen, and we really wanted to take time and effort as engaged parents to find out more. It does feel, having the district cancel all our PAC meetings, is that the PAC was set up to just fulfill the ad code of having parent engagement. So now they can tick that box and say they've engaged with parents enough. But we don't really know what the board, have been told about the PAC. And I would urge that if you really wanted good parental engagement, it's important to have ongoing conversations that are meaningful and that parents can really give good feedback about LCAP in a positive way, and we could work together to make it good for all the students and everybody else in the district. So thank you, and hopefully maybe we'll reconvene. It takes time to set everything up, so thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Rachel Merlot.
Hi, it's Rachel Merlot. I just am here to say thank you to Bridget as the only person who came to our open house last week. So thank you, Bridget. As you know, it's open house season. IBL kicks it off usually as the early one. It was disappointing that nobody else came. No superintendent, nobody else. So hopefully maybe somebody from the district office can make sure that they come to anybody else's. Hopefully they'll check and we can get some other people. You know, we hear a lot about wanting to be team and see what everybody's doing. Students make a big effort all the time to come here and put on display what they're doing. Open House for Schools is that one time a year where we put the whole culmination of what we've been doing all year. It's tons of work, tons of time for everybody to come see the culmination of all year of what we've done. And it's pretty disappointing to not have the people in charge to come to our schools and see. So we really hope for the rest of the schools that we get a better turnout. So hopefully for everyone else, we'll see that, especially the people in charge. So thank you. Thanks, Bridget. Laverne also stopped by my class earlier this month. We did a little thing together. I know she's not here tonight. So thank you for those that did. All right.
All right, thank you. All right, Board Superintendent Correspondence and Communications.
So I just had my regular meeting with, I am on, yeah. Had my regular meetings with Dr. Bowman, and I attended the special meeting, and that's all.
Okay. I met with FICMAT, an interview with them that they were from the state, analyzing the financial situation of the district. I attended the budget collaborative meeting, multiple workforce housing meetings, the bond committee meeting, Sunset Ridge PTO, then also 4 weeks ago, just 4 weeks ago, attended the retirement for County Superintendent Nancy McGee, who then unfortunately passed away just yesterday. So our condolences to her family, and she was definitely very devoted to the county and all the education. So it was kind of a hard blow to have the retirement party, and 4 weeks later that she was already gone.
My thoughts also to Nancy McGee. She made a big impact on our community. I'm not feeling very well this week, so I didn't prepare as much as I would have liked to. I was able to go to IBL Open House and also their family night a week before. I also attended the budget collaborative meeting. I was able to go to a Youth Point talk at Jefferson's school district. Jefferson Union High School District, called Real Talk, Teens, Families, and Substance Use. It was really informative, hopefully the turnout will be better next time. I also went to California School Board Association meeting to learn about a program called Seeds to Solution, which was really exciting. It's the county offers resources for science curriculum that include studying climate change, and they make the resources available. I plan on having Carissa make sure that that's available for all of our teachers. And that's all I got.
All right, thank you. So I had my one-on-ones with Carissa. I had 2 meetings with FICMAT from the county. And I want to say that every time I speak with FICMAT, I remind them that we're getting $15,000 per student less than the majority of schools in our county. So just reiterating how much little we get from the county. Please, please remind them. I also plan to go to Back to School Night tomorrow at Valamar. I attended the board committee meeting. I also do have an announcement to make. As of March 30th, I gave my resignation to the county, to Superintendent Marco Chavez. And as of May 30th this year, I will no longer be on the school board. The way that that gets filled is my position can either be put on the ballot in November or it can be appointed. The rest of the board will vote on that as we move down the line here. It was I spent 6.5 years on this board. It's just took a lot of months and months and months of thinking about this, but I think it's the best decision for myself and my family, so. The applications, for everyone to know, applications for school board positions, because there will be an election this year, start July 13th, and they'll be open till 88 days before the election. So anyone who's a resident of Pacifica can apply for that and run. And that's it. So that's my statements for today. So thank you. Moving on to information items. Cabrillo Elementary School PTO financial presentation.
Good evening, board members. My name is Alex Uribe. I'm the co-treasurer for the Cabrillo PTO. I'm also the 7th and 8th grade science teacher at Cabrillo. I'm a parent of 2 children also at Cabrillo. Tonight I'm going to give you a financial update from our activities for this year. All the numbers are as of plus or minus a week ago when the report was written, but they're all pretty similar to that. Cabrillo PTO has been active this year. I would like to go over some of our major expenditures, some of our major fundraising activity, and kind of how those have gone, and kind of what we look forward to to the end of this year and then going into next year. As any PTO is, we are dedicated to strengthen the communication and connection, and most importantly, support of our Cabrillo families, and provide them with whatever resources they need, and our staff, our teaching staff, to give them whatever they need to bring what they need forward. Our general statement is we began the year with $249,000 in our primary checking account. Currently, we have about $267,000 in income, about $176,000 in expenditures. With our total assets about $313,000. That is as of today. Over the course of the year, we have had very generous families putting in lots of money and time to support our programs. Some of our major fundraising events and donation events, we began the beginning of the year with the fall donation drive, generating about $51,000. Company match from family members providing that information, about $20,000. After school programs, giving their 10% back, about $9,000. We just had our spring auction a few weeks ago, and that was very successful, about $23,000. It was a great time, those of you guys that could come out. Our Halloween Spectacular in the fall, Seas Candy, Nothing But Cakes, and then a few other smaller categories. But a lot of income from very generous families and from Cabrillo. Some of our major programs this year, again, one of our main goals is to support student programs. So our art department, art program, we try and keep stocked for all grade levels usage. We utilize Spindrift Drama for some of our major programs like Gold Dust or Bust, which is always a great show. We have been supplementing elementary PE with La Garza, and that to the tune of about $20,000. Some really fun events like Walk Through History for both 5th and 6th grade, Ancient World, and American History for the lower grades. It's also a great day. The Cabrillo PTO has supported the upper grade electives. Again, now that Cabrillo is the only K through 8, TK to 8 with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we maintain an elective program, and though we had CTE earlier in the year, we've gone through a few adjustments with that. But the PTO has continued to support us with materials and supplies. One of the major capstone events for any Cabrillo 8th grader is our Yosemite trip, and to maintain that trip is affordable and available to all, the PTO maintains scholarships for any family that can't afford to go. That trip just happened a few weeks ago. It was very successful. 51 kids away, 51 back. Everybody had a great time. It even snowed. We got pouring rain and then pouring snow. It was great. Classroom support, one of the major activities for the PTO is to provide reimbursement for staff for any classroom purchases, consumable materials, things that they feel like would enrich and enhance their class and their students' experience. Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up next week, and again, PTO will sponsor the week and food and gifts and coffee and trying to make our staff feel as appreciated as possible that they need that reminder. Other grade level experiences, bringing field trips to campus, having supporting events like Family Days, which runs all year, supporting all of our individual activities, Thanksgiving feasts, holiday events, marine science field trips, coming to campus, all kinds of things that bring the school those experiences for those kids. We're working on school-wide initiatives. We were recently, along with a lot of other sites, awarded the gold PBIS mark, I guess, from the state. And so a big piece for us is something called the Orca Outpost. So students through good behavior and demonstrating good citizenship earn little tickets, and they can exchange them for gifts and snacks and things. And it's a nice reward system for the kids to encourage positive behavior. Some of our major costs, we tend to these are the original budgeted amounts versus the actual expended items. We have over fundraised, I guess is a good way of saying it. We were able to reach our fundraising goals and then a little bit more, which is always great. We have, again, a very supportive group. Our classroom supply funds and supporting things like the library through new purchases, our drama spindrift program, and a lot of the other categories we talked about. Again, original beginning of the year budgeted versus actual. Again, these expenditures will continue to go up as the year winds down. A lot of those receipts are coming in, and we will end up spending closer to our budgeted amount. Looking ahead, we are currently in our readathon, which is our last fundraiser for the year, and so the students get sponsored for reading as much as they possibly can from their families and friends. And again, that's another positive fundraising event, and that again goes forward. We look forward to next year. Cabrillo has quite a bit of construction ongoing. We've had discussions of capital improvement projects to spend down some of our savings, and to continue to invest in the campus of Cabrillo and therefore its students. So I think that's all I got.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions? No? Well, my only question, a couple things after being on PTOs many times, just making sure that everyone once a year goes to the bank and makes sure that the names that are on the bank correspond with what the names that are actually on the board. I think when I became a Valamar PTO president, there was someone on there that had been on there for 6 years and they weren't even at the school anymore. So it was odd. So, and then the other thing is just, and that's important to us, is just making sure you guys are filing on time and getting all that stuff done. And also that we've got a copy of your bylaws. So, but thank you, and thank you guys for all you guys do. It's a fun and a challenging job.
Yes, but worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, San Mateo County Office of Education letter. This is regarding the second interim report and letter of lack of going concern. Stacy Stauffer.
So I'm going to go over these in sequential order. I want to make sure that I clarify, and I think it's really important that we have transparency around what's going on in our fiscal state. So the first letter that was issued was the lack of going concern. The county determined that based on, I'm going to go through the bullet points and then you can feel free to ask questions. The 24-25 unaudited actual, position control concerns, so that's the tracking of our positions, the increased cost of special education combined with our decreasing enrollment, which we know is not unique to our district, but is affecting us nonetheless. A negative ending fund balance, so based on our projections, we would have a negative fund balance in our unrestricted general fund. The district's ability to implement a fiscal stabilization plan, so as of the point that they wrote this letter, that's an issue that they wanted us to create one. They were concerned of the leadership turnover, and they want additional documentation. So the requirements that set into place for the district, so when there's a lack of going concern, it triggers certain events for a district. And what that does is the county superintendent, so if we go for any debt, like if we want to issue any debt, then the county superintendent can say yay or nay to that, as well as any employee negotiations. So even if we put forth a deal, the county superintendent will still have to sign off on that. And so that is another, and that we have to provide the county superintendent, the county office of education, 10 working days to review any settlement that we do within negotiations. And then we also had the fiscal crisis and management assistance team, which we know we're here to look at our health analysis, and we're hoping that they can come here at the next board meeting to report out. That's our early timeline. If not, then they will be at the first June board meeting to report out. Other required actions is they would like updated cash flow projections, and then the fiscal stabilization plan, which will be at our early June meeting. So the first budget will also be with a fiscal stabilization plan, so you can see the how we're working to rectify that, and updated MYP for all categories of funds, including restricted, unrestricted, combined funds. And so part of this includes the disclosure of this lack of going concern, and freezing the discretionary expenditures unless it's operationally necessary, and implement a hiring freeze on all positions that do not provide direct services to students. So unless it's necessary for the functionality of the district and services for students. So that was the lack of going concern. A little less than 2 months later, they reviewed and accepted our second interim with a qualified certification. The qualified certification was based on the fact that we had a projected deficit. Our reserves still maintain the minimum, which is good. So we are not dipping below the state's 3% minimum. Our multi-year projections, reserves are projected at 3.05 in 26-27 and 3.08 in 27-28, so they are going up a little. So our multi-year projections are increasing a little bit. We are deficit spending, so they advise us to find a way to stop deficit spending in our MYP. Our fiscal years do show positive balances on our cash flow in the MYP. They do have concerns that we have not settled with salary negotiations, but we do have the parcel tax money still set aside for that. And again, they note in the that we have to give them 10 days to review any tentative collective bargaining agreement because it requires them to review it, and they need to have it reflected in the MYP, the effect that would have, because they do have concerns on that, and budgetary revisions before processing any salary agreements. They have to see how it would run out. They have concerns of our parcel tax expiration that will be expiring next year and what that would do. They reference back to the lack of going concern, which is why they have assigned a fiscal expert. So I don't know if anyone's met Ron, but he's here on Tuesdays and Thursdays to help provide his guidance for the fiscal stability plan and help us on our way with that. In addition, we are also going to be creating a third interim. So that will be presented in the May board meeting as well. So that way we can see what we've done so far before we see next year's budget.
All right, any questions? All right, well, thank you. Don't go too far.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay. Next is 2026 Pacifica School District Summer Programs.
Mm-hmm. This is a slideshow.
Slideshow?
Mm-hmm. There we go. All right. So this is something fun to present. So we love to have opportunities to present fun things for our kids to do. Every summer, the kids, I'm sure parents like to have somewhere for their kids to go. I know the kids like to have our summer programs. So we are excited to once again being able to offer summer programs for our students. And it does align with our LCAP goals, being able to engage instruction and fortunately year-round, helping them to increase their achievement and decrease those performance gaps. And it also provides opportunities for family and community engagement as well. So our summer programs that we're offering, and I'll read through them so you can see that. Oh, there we go. Big Lift, Inspiring Summers, also known as BLISS. We have the Boys and Girls Club ELOP programming, Spindrift School of Performing Arts, Boys and Girls Club, the summer program, a little different, so it separates from ELOP funding, so it's different funding sources, and City of Pacifica Adventure Camp. So the Big Lift Inspiring Summers is hosted by City of Pacifica, Big Lift, and San Mateo County Libraries, so we're all working together. That's for rising kindergarten through third graders. We have relocated to Ocean Shore Sunset Ridge, so we're working with our construction schedule to make sure that we're keeping up with the new playgrounds, the painting of the schools, new blacktops. All of those projects are going to be happening and keeping our students safe, so we're going to have it at Sunset Ridge Ocean Shore. Big Lift Inspiring Summers is free. There's no charge for families, and full-day program. It's funded by Measure K. It combines phonics and reading instructions, also hands-on math, science, art, mindfulness, field trips. I don't know if you've had a chance to walk through and hear the kids playing last summer. It was here, and the kids have a blast, so it's wonderful. So here's a picture of the kids at play last year. Next up is Boys and Girls ELOP. So hosted by Boys and Girls Club in partnership with PSD. Upcoming TK through 6th grade, also at Ocean Shore Sunset Ridge. And their goal is to inspire and enable all young people to realize their potential and contribute to the community. So that's our LCAP Goal 3. And chance for them to engage in activities, fun, educational skill building, teamwork, lots of field trips. So you'll see that repeated again. It's a chance for kids to go and have fun out in the community. 15 days of program, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that's that extended day if parents need it. And then we have Spindrift Performing Arts, 4 through 12 years old only, but that does have that extended age group. And it is a half-day program. It requires a commitment to all 3 weeks. And then if any parents are watching, the performance is Saturday, June 28th, so mark your calendars. Boys and Girls Summer Program, so this is a little different than the ELOP program in that you don't have to have that daily requirement, but you still can go. Upcoming TK through 8th grade at Ortega and the Yosemite Clubhouse. And again, same inspiration to enable all young people to realize full potential, contributing to communities, engaging in those same fun activities, and of course, fun field trips. City of Pacifica Adventure Camp. I missed the students served on there. So available at Cabrillo, Valimar, Ocean Shore, and Sunset Ridge sites. Program includes, again, we love those field trips in summer, right? Because the kids want to go somewhere. Assemblies, recreational activities. Some of the field trips in the past have been Exploratorium, Oakland Zoo. The weather's nice, they want to get out. Swim lessons, recreational swimming are also offered through the Oceana Pool. Of course, permission slips will be given out for all of those things. Any question for the fun activities?
You mentioned the first one was free, but is there any charge for the others?
So if it's through ELOP, that's through ELOP funding. So if it says, I can go back. So Boys and Girls, so Big Lift is free to families. Boys and Girls Club and Spindrift, if they have ELOP funding, then that's a free cost for families. But then the other ones, if they don't qualify, then we can, then it's a share of cost. But no matter where parents fall, there's a program for families this summer that can fit into their need. And so all they have to do is reach out and we'll find a program that fits them by name and need.
Hey, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Next, we're moving on to item D. Now, I actually do have a speaker. If you want to if we want to have the speaker first, if you want to sit back.
Oh, you have a speaker.
Yeah. Rebecca Lazaro on item 12D.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Cabinet and community members. My name is Rebecca Lazaro, and I am a resident of Pacifica and the library media technician serving the students at Ocean Shore and Sunset Ridge. I'm here tonight to speak in strong support of the parcel tax renewal. The funding is the lifeblood of our schools. It funds the outdoor education experience for every fifth grader, a milestone that I still remember vividly from my own time when I was at Sharp Park Elementary. Beyond that, it funds 4.5 teachers, 4 counselors, and all 5 of our library media technicians. I am directly affected by this measure, as are my colleagues. I cannot imagine our schools without the dedication of Mrs. Beckmeyer at Cabrillo.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Can I keep going?
Yeah, go ahead and finish up.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm quick.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start. I am directly affected by this measure, as are my colleagues. Cannot imagine our schools without the dedication of Mrs. Beckmeyer at Cabrillo, Miss Francis at IBL, Miss Shauna at Ortega, and Miss Julie at Valimar. Together, we nurture curiosity and inspire joy, confidence, and achievement, exactly as our district mission statement promises. However, I urge the board to pause and look closely at the proposed expenditures for this renewal. We are looking at $30,000 in consultant fees and $26,000 for brochure mailings. We know in our hearts that this measure belongs on the ballot in November, and I believe our community understands its value. I ask the board to consider if these additional fees are truly a mechanical necessity for a ballot process. Can we move forward without incurring these costs? Every dollar spent on consultants is a dollar that isn't going directly into the classrooms and libraries where it is needed most. Please ensure that this measure reaches the ballot in the most fiscally responsible way possible. Thank you.
Thank you. So that is actually towards item 12. Yes. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I got you up a little early, sorry. But let's go ahead with the first read for Facilities Board policy updates.
Okay.
All right.
So, it's okay. So this is, so the Pacifica School District works to ensure that our board policies and administrative regulations are up to date to support the students and staff of the local community. We recommend that the Board of Trustees review and discuss the proposed updates to the board policies and administrative regulations during our first reading. There are not that many, fortunately, for facilities. The board policies for facilities include concepts and roles, board policy 7131, relations with local agencies, board policy 7214, general obligation bonds, administrative regulation 7214, general obligation bonds. The overall, so board policy 7000, concepts and roles, overarchingly goes in line with new laws and regulations, which expands the board's roles to also oversee the facilities master plan as well, and ensure that if there's any purchase, sale, or use of school sites, that is also within the board's responsibility to be aware of that. With Board Policy 7131, relations with local agency, it's been updated to make sure that the governing board is aware that it's also with any use of school facilities to be aware that it's also the governing board's responsibility to have relations with the local government, including Parks and Rec, so that any use is a good partnership. Board Policy 7214, general obligation bonds, it was updated for clarity and wording. And it's explaining that the governing board may direct the superintendent to explore bonds. So it can be under the direction of the board. Administrative Regulation 7214 has been updated to expand and more closely align with code language, so legal language, including, and you've mentioned this before, that any submission to ballot measures must be at least 88 days prior to the election of a superintendent and must be delivered by applicable ballot materials. So it's following the letter of the law in regards to election law. So that is the update of facility policies.
Any questions? Okay.
So
next
that's
one.
facilities.
That's the first one.
Okay, business is, there's a lot more. So we have Board Policy 3100 budget. That was updated to follow the new law, which is going to begin in January 1, 2027, but we want to adopt it ahead. And the main change on that is to note that we no longer will need to publish notification of the budget in the paper, but the change will be to publish notification of the budget on our website publicly 3 days before the availability of it for public inspection. So that's a big change. Board Policy 3250, transportation fees. This is to go in line with the new law, AB 181. That exempts a student classified as unduplicated from paying a fee for transportation. AR 3250, transportation fees, updated that bus passes shall be sold electronically if available. Board Policy 3280, sale or lease of district-owned property, updated to reflect new law AB 480, 2023, which provides that the board may decide not to make the declaration of an opportunity for public comment as specified. Policy updated to reflect new guidelines that you have to connect with the Department of Housing and Community Development for board declarations. So it's telling you which agencies to now connect with because it's changed. AR 3280, also on sale or lease of district-owned real property. It's updated to the new definition of what is considered surplus property. Board Policy 3311 for bids. It clarified the bidding procedure so that we now know how, we always want to make sure to do it properly. So it clarified when bids are required and when bids aren't required. AR 3311 clarified the definition of maintenance, which includes landscape maintenance versus repairing. And so that explains when bidders can protest also and when they can't protest, so we know when to put things out to bid. Board Policy 3311.1, Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Procedures, updated to add language to the authorization for the governing board. When after first invitation of bids to informal or formal bidding are rejected, they can declare that it can be performed more economically by districts. So if you put it out to bid, nobody bids, you can do it yourself. AR 3311.1, Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Procedures. It updates to reflect a new law, AB 2192 in 2024, which includes installations involving publicly owned, leased, or operated land as a public project. And then it changes the amount to $220,000 or less. AR 3311.3, design build contracts, reflects the new law, SB 956 in 2024, which extends indefinitely the authorization to enter into a design build contract in excess of $1 million. So Board Policy 3320, claims against an action against the district. So it's updating to a new law, AB 452, 2023, which provides there's no time limits for recovery of damages for claims of childhood sexual assaults that occurred after January 1st, 2024. That includes plaintiffs who were over 40 years of age or older who filed certificates of merit. And I'm sure we're aware of this law, the new law, SB 558, 2023, that statute of limitations of acts that occurred on or before December 31st, 2023 was when that new law set forth. So we want to make sure that we're in line with that. AR 3440, inventories regulation to update to new law, AB 629, 2025, which increases the threshold amount for which the governing board is required to establish and maintain an inventory of items to a current market value that exceeds $1,500. So it used to be $500, and now they upped it to $1,500, so we only need to keep inventory $1,500 or above. Board Policy 3470, debt issue and management, policy updated to add communication to the public, the list of debt issuance program activities that the superintendent administers and coordinates, and remove reference to qualified zone academy bonds, which are no longer used. So it removes some old language. Before bonds are issued, the board must issue express approval. AR 3512, equipment regulation updated to clarify that the district equipment may be used for only an approved district-related purpose, and the superintendent or designee to maintain property records. And then that kind of goes back to that inventory piece. AR 3513.3, tobacco-free schools regulation updated to assign responsibility to superintendent or designee to post appropriate signage. BP 3515, campus security, policy updated to reflect Department of Homeland Security's behavioral threat assessment management practice guide. So that's a federal requirement we had to include in our language. AR 3515, campus security regulation to emphasize campus security to be developed for each school site. It's just to incorporate a new law, AB 2715, which authorized the governing board to hold a closed session meeting with law enforcement or security personnel on matter posing a threat to security, including a threat to critical infrastructure controls relating to cybersecurity, so you can hold a closed session on security matters. And new law, AB 1858, 2024, which requires districts to comply with specified requirements of a district's comprehensive school safety plan. So the biggest change is you can have a closed session on security. BP 3515.5, sex offender notification, updated to clarify that a district's employee to whom sex offender information is disclosed by a law enforcement entity may only disclose the information when authorized by the law enforcement entity in a manner authorized. So the law will tell you how to do that. AR 3515.5, sex offender notification regulation, updated to emphasize the components of the plan for receiving and communicating information within district boundaries. Regulation updated to include the specific means of providing notice when the principal has granted permission. So we can notify, but the AR will tell us how. AR 3516.1, fire drills and fires, regulation updated to reflect the requirement that the first emergency evacuation drill of each year be conducted within 10 days of beginning new class. There's a new law, AB 2968, 2024, which requires districts to develop a procedure to identify appropriate refuge shelters for all students and staff to be used in the event of evacuation. BP 3516.5, emergency schedules, updated to add health conditions as a reason why the superintendent designee is authorized by the governing board to close a school site, change the regular school day, or any other action. New law, SB 1429, 2024, which adds snowstorms. For us, it'd more likely be tsunamis, but we can close school sites. Almost done, I swear. 3517E1 is a facilities inspection. So we do have an exhibit that we can, we will now have a facilities inspection that includes stocking menstrual products in restrooms, BP 3540 transportation to incorporate expanded learning opportunities in our philosophical statement to reflect the new law, SB 88, 2023, and 3580, BP 3580, district records, policy updated to include protection of records against damage, loss, and theft, including against cybersecurity breaches, to ensure that we have training, which we do because Cyrus is great. And finally, AR 3580, district records, that's the regulation that there is a historical inventory of equipment that is required to be continuing record. That is a student's CUME record if it's not transferred, that we have a way to back up those records. Okay.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay.
You were talking about the snowstorm, but did that include smoke? Is usually, well, we've had more shutdowns than tsunami. It's
Yeah,
usually-
so basically.
Usually smoke.
It gave the it expanded the authorization for reasons of health. So like if smoke is affecting health, then you would have the authorization like to declare that this is a reason to shut down for the sake of health.
Okay, because that's been the more common reason we've shut down.
Yeah, but it gave that authorization.
Okay. I just had a question about the inventories, like who's supposed to maintain that inventory list?
So it depends what it is. So if we would decide who does it, like if it's technology, then Cyrus would do technology, right? And then, so our tech coordinator, if people don't know him by name. But then if it's, if it would be something like, I don't know, like our curriculum can be very expensive, right? So if the whole sum of the curriculum, and that's where we get into the regulations of if it's a component or the whole part, right? If our furniture, because our furniture gets really expensive, like some of our tables are actually very expensive, then we would inventory that, and that would be more of a facilities maintenance thing. And some of our like scrubbers and washers that we use for facilities and maintenance, that would be in facilities and maintenance.
Okay,
That
so
would- it's departmental.
Sort of split between facilities and IT.
Yeah.
Right, okay. All right, thank you. That was my only question. All right. Thank you very much, Stacy.
Thanks.
Moving on. Update to instructional board policy and administrative regulations. Martha Ladd.
Okay, I have a list of board policies that we're updating tonight as well. First, we're starting with Board Policy 5113, absences and excuses, and the associated administrative regulation. The policy is updated referencing CSBA's new governance brief titled Seize the Data, Using Chronic Absence Data to Drive Student Engagement. Additionally, the policy is updated to clarify that absence from school is required to be excused when the absence is due to work in the entertainment or allied industry as permitted by law. In addition, policy is updated to add the requirement for teachers to provide identical or equivalent assignments and tests when a student has an excused absence. At the administrative regulation, 5113, the regulation is updated to reflect the new law, which requires that, one, a student's absence is to be excused for up to 5 days when the absence is for the purpose of attending a funeral service or grieving the death of the student's immediate family member. 2, a student's absence is to be excused for up to 3 days when the absence is for the purpose of accessing victim or grief support services for participating in safety or planning as it relates to the death of a student's immediate family member. Board Policy 5113, updated September 2025, absences and excuses. The policy is updated with minor revisions. The administrative regulation is updated to reflect new law, allowing for an excused absence when a student spends time with any deployed immediate family member who is an active duty member of a uniformed service person. And also, regulation is updated to reflect new law, which adds students' participation in military entrance processing to the list of excused absences. Board Policy 5113.1, chronic absence and truancy, and the associated administrative regulation. The policy is updated to move to the philosophical paragraph language, which provides that students who are identified as chronically absent or truant receive appropriate support services and interventions as early as possible. Additionally, the policy is updated to incorporate strategies identified by the California Department of Education for encouraging student attendance and reflect the new laws, which beginning July 1st, 2025, authorizes districts to implement attendance recovery programs for students in grades traditional kindergarten through 12 to make up lost instructional time. Administrative Regulation 5113.11, attendance supervision. Regulation is updated to reflect the new law, which authorizes the districts to implement an attendance recovery program for students in grades kindergarten through 12 to make up for lost instructional time and offset absences. Board Policy 5113.12, District School Attendance Review Board and the associated administrative regulation. Last updated in 2017, the policy updated to include the philosophical paragraph, the recognition of the negative impact that poor school attendance can have on student learning. Additionally, policy updated to reflect the new law, which requires that each district student attendance review board, called SARB, to at least annually consult with students who reflect the diversity of all schools that are served by the SARB for the purpose of soliciting input that will assist SARB members in gaining a better understanding of and proposing interventions for student attendance and behavioral challenges. In addition, the policy is updated to clarify the district's SARB and is required to operate in accordance with specified board bylaws and state laws and the County Office of Education's SARB rules and regulations. Board Policy 5113.2, work permits and associated admin regulations. The policy is updated in conjunction with the accompanied administrative regulation with minor revisions. The regulation is updated to reflect the requirements that, one, the principal or designee is required to submit to the superintendent a self-certification that the principal or designee understands the requirements in the existing law for issuing a work permit, and two, the copies of work permits are required to be retained in accordance with Administrative Regulation 3580 district records. Board Policy 5131, conduct. Policy is updated to reflect new law, which requires the governing board by July 1, 2026 to develop, adopt, and update every 5 years a policy to limit or prohibit student use of smartphones while at school site or under the supervision and control of district employees. Additionally, updated to expand the list of prohibited student conduct to include conduct that is prohibited by law related to suspension and expulsion. We'll discuss more about smartphones in the presentation I'm going to be showing you later. Board Policy 5138, Conflict Resolution and Peer Mediation. Policy is updated to clarify the distinction between students providing peer mediation and those receiving it. Additional policy is updated to include in the development of a conflict resolution and/or peer mediation program, 1, the expectation for confidentiality regarding who participated, what was discussed, and how any conflict was resolved, and 2, the selection of and requirements to train as peer mediator. Board Policy 5141, Health Care and Emergencies, and the associated administrative regulation. The policy is updated to clarify that automated external defibrillators are authorized to be used at designated school sites in accordance with the accompanying administrative regulation. Additional policy is updated to reflect that 1, any school district with an occupancy of 200 or more that was constructed on or after January 1st, 2023, or was constructed prior to January 1st, 2023, and modified it or renovated as specified, is required to acquire, place, and maintain trauma kits in accordance with the accompanying administrative regulations. And 2, school employees are required to be notified annually of the location of the trauma kits and be provided with information regarding training in the use of the trauma kit. Board Policy 5141.4, Child Abuse Prevention and Reporting. This policy has been updated with the accompanying administrative regulation with minor revisions. The administrative regulation has been updated to clarify that general neglect does not include 1, a parent guardian's economic disadvantage, or 2, a child receiving treatment by spiritual means or not receiving specified medical treatment for religious reasons. Additionally, the regulation is updated to move for more appropriate placement material related to a child who is experiencing homelessness or is classified as unaccompanied minor. In addition, the regulation is updated to reflect new law, which requires districts to provide employee training on the prevention of abuse, including sexual abuse of children, on district property by district staff or in district-sponsored programs annually, rather than the previously required once every 3 years. Board Policy 5142, Safety. The policy is updated in conjunction with the accompanied administrative regulation with the section regarding the student identification cards and safety information moved to the administrative regulation. Board Policy 5147, Dropout Prevention. The policy is updated to include parents, guardians, and school staff in a collaborative effort to develop strategies to support student attendance. Additionally, the policy is updated to reflect new law, which enables the district to implement attendance recovery programs in order to make up lost instructional time and offset absences, and that any attendance recovery program be provided as voluntary, limited term option for classroom-based regular education program for students in grades transitional kindergarten through 12th. In addition, policy updated to expand the strategies to support students at risk of dropping out of school to include attendance recovery programs, expanded school and/or community support schools, such as a school nurse, school social worker, school counselor, school psychologist, or other student support personnel for case manager and counseling. And that is the summary of the first read of student services updates.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. This is the fun bureaucracy sometimes we have to deal with. All right, next is first read personnel, board policy updates. Rachel Romo.
Thank you. Let me get, sorry, lots of papers. Okay, so this item is a first reading of several board policies and administrative regulations that have been updated to ensure the Pacifica School District remains in full compliance with evolving state and federal laws. These revisions are based on quarterly samples provided by the California School Boards Association. The primary goal of these updates is to support the academic achievement, well-being, and safety of our students and staff by maintaining a modern and legally sound policy framework. So Board Policy 4000, Concepts and Roles. This policy was updated as part of CSBA's process to regularly review policy documents that otherwise would not be revised due to no applicable changes to law, regulations, new guidance, or other directives, and amended to 1, clarify that it is the academic achievement, personal growth, and well-being of district students, in addition to the success of district programs that hinges on district personnel. And 2, reflect the California Labor Management Initiative's resource guidebook, Building Partnerships to Create Great Public Schools, which provides guidance to support education leaders in developing labor management partnerships that benefit students, staff, and the community. Board Policy 4030 aligns with AR Policy 4030, Non-Discrimination in Employment. It was updated to reflect the new law SB 1137, which prohibits discrimination based on a combination of 2 or more protected bases. It also incorporates the new law SB 1100, making it unlawful to require a driver's license in job postings unless specific conditions are met. Board Policy 4033, Lactation Accommodations. This policy was updated. It clarifies that accommodations apply to expressing breast milk for at least 1 year after a child's birth. Board Policy 4119.21, Professional Standards. The governing board desired to provide a safe and positive school environment that promotes the learning, engagement, safety, and well-being of district students, and to expand upon the expectations for district employee conduct. A new law, SB 848, which prohibits inappropriate conduct between district employees, adult volunteers, and contractors, and among and between adults employed volunteering or under contract with the district. Board Policy 4119.24, maintaining appropriate adult-student interactions. There's a new law, SB 848. Again, it prohibits inappropriate conduct between district employees. And then Board Policy 4119.43, universal precautions. Policy updated to include material formally in the AR on the provision of information to employees regarding acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS-related conditions, and hepatitis B, and appropriate methods to prevent exposure. The policy adds an optional paragraph regarding the inclusion of related information in employee handbooks. Board Policy 4151, 4251, 4351, employee compensation. There's a new law, AB 938, which requires districts beginning January 31st, 2026, to annually complete the salary and benefits schedule for bargaining units, Form J90, for classified and certificated staff assigned to a district school site, and report the forms to the California Department of Ed. It includes fillable language for districts to utilize and reflect the payroll schedule determined by the governing board. It was also updated to delete material related to the compensation of employees during the periods of extended closure for COVID-19 specifically. The policy was updated to correct an inaccuracy regarding overtime rate of pay, which required the deletion of material related to an overtime rate of twice the regular rate of pay for any hours worked in excess of 12 hours in 1 day or 8 hours on the 7th consecutive day, since the Labor Code section, which provides for such overtime compensation, does not apply to school districts. Board Policy 4158, 4258, 4358 on employee security. It was updated to include material which authorizes a collective bargaining representative to seek a temporary restraining order on behalf of a district employee who has been subjected to harassment, unlawful violence, or a credible threat of violence in the workplace. If the collective bargaining representative serves that employee in employment or labor matters at the employee's workplace. the policy updated to incorporate an executive order 14127, combating emerging firearms threats and improving school-based active shooter drills, which establishes a task force to provide guidance to schools related to school-based active shooter drills. In addition, the policy was revised more closely to align with the law and to reflect the change in provisions from the Labor Code to the Government Code. Board Policy 4112, Employee Notification. A new law, AB 2473, requires districts to comply with specified notice requirements related to transfers of coursework and credits for students participating in a newcomer program. The new law, AB 2499, requires districts to provide notice of the rights pertaining to leaves and accommodations for victims of qualifying acts of violence. New Law 1870 requires notice of the district's current compensation and insurance carrier, or, if appropriate, that the district is self-insured and who is responsible for the claims adjustments. The requirement is to post a notice explaining the California Family Rights Act's provision and procedures for filing complaints of violations to the Act of the Civil Rights Department. New Law SB 153, 2024 requires notice to certificated employees on existing school sites and community resources related to the support of students who may face bias or bullying. New Law AB 2499 requires the district to provide notice when an employee informs the district that the employee or the employee's family member is a victim of a qualifying act of violence, or accommodations and leave for victims of a qualifying act of violence. Additionally, exhibit updated to delete the notification related to potential exposure for COVID-19, as this notification is no longer required. So the three areas are non-discrimination and harassment, employee conduct and safety, and then benefits compensation and notifications. Questions on those policies?
All right, seeing no questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now to the fun new cell phone law. Arthur Ladd.
Okay, so the reason why I broke this out, 5131.8 from the others, was because this one comes with two options. So, so here we go. Here's my little button. So we'll start off with, this is what we're going to cover tonight, where it came from, what's the law that it came from, what's our current policy, what is the current practices in our schools, what are our two options, and then what is our recommendation to the board. Typically, so the California Assembly Bill 962 is a school safety law that refines the restrictions on cell phone use in our schools. In this case, it basically is kind of a more restrictive law in our schools. Our current board policy says that students may use cell phones during non-instructional time. So during lunch breaks, they could technically, if they wanted to, take the cell phone to the bathroom, before school, after school, between classes at the middle school, those types of non-instructional times when the cell phone could be used. There's also 4 opportunities when children can use, there's 4 what we call exceptions. Students can use the phones in case of an emergency, when a teacher or administrator gives permission to the student, when it's necessary for the student's health or well-being. Students with diabetes actually monitor their glucose levels on their phones now, and there are other uses for the cell phone for medical reasons. And then also if this phone is required but for a student's individual IEP. So mobile communication in our phones. So we have our K-8 schools and our middle school. The discipline practice in our schools does not allow for cell phone use during school hours. So that's in the handbook. Teachers do not typically allow for cell phone use during instructional time, mainly because we have other devices like Chromebooks, and they're using other types of devices in the classroom that they're using for instruction. And they've also developed a progressive discipline practice regarding the use or the inappropriate use of cell phones in the schools. And then in the elementary schools, they have discipline practices that do not allow cell phone use during the school day. They are also outlined in the handbook, and teachers do not allow cell phone use in the classrooms. They also do not allow smartwatch use or these glasses, the meta glasses that have also been used at schools as well. So students who do require cell phones for medical reasons or as part of their IEPs, those other 4 exceptions, that of course is being honored, of course, in all of our schools. So as of right now, all of our schools do not allow cell phones to be used during the school day as a practice, but our policy says that they may be used, so for non-instructional purposes. And all of our schools do have some form of progressive discipline when students are using cell phones on campus during school hours. So here are the 2 options for revising the board policy. The board policy, the first option is to update the language regarding the types of devices covered. Our current policy has the word pagers in it, and none of our students use pagers, so we would remove that. Sort of updates the languages. We would still have that students may use smartphones during non-instructional time, and the 4 exceptions would still remain under this version of the policy in the event of emergencies under the supervision of a teacher or administrator for medical reasons or as required by their IEP. That would always still remain, and that's required by law. Option number 2, we would have not the may language, but we will have the shall not be able to use their phone during instructional time. This option clarifies that student smartphones are not to be used, including during non-instructional time. However, those 4 exceptions will remain under the version of this policy. Earlier, for Board Policy 5131, not 5131.8, but 5131, the board will review the policy every 5 years to determine if they want to shall or may, right? And then our recommendation, board option 2 more closely reflects what the current practice is on campus. Option 2 also removes gray areas for students for non-instructional time and use, and decreases the amount of time administrators and teachers have to manage appropriate smartphone use or mobile device use on campus. And what I mean by gray areas is like oftentimes, especially in the older grades, 6 through 8, they would go to the restroom, use the smartphone in the restroom to text each other and then come back. And so it can be disruptive to the instructional time to the students that are in class. Option 2 still allows for the 4 critical important exceptions to smartphone use on campus. And for these reasons, it is recommended that the board consider adopting option 2 as the district's mobile communication device policy. Are there any questions? Okay.
Wait, this is not an action item, so.
That's right.
So do we just say go with option 2 and then?
And we can bring back, we'll bring back.
Like, for the, because it has to be voted
You have to
on
bring it back
later,
for a
but
vote.
I know it's the first reading, that's what, like, but you're saying you're giving us options as if you're asking us what we would prefer to do.
Right.
Or you're asking us for guidance.
Right.
Yeah, so I was like, we have to at least tell you something, right? Yeah, okay. That's my point. I'm like, you would like us to, I'm okay with option 2 if everyone's okay with option 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can't vote on that, but I do have to say I have a child at Terra Nova, and this year they've had implemented the Yonder pouch. So in the morning, they lock up their phone and they can't get it till the end of the day. And my child personally was like relieved with that they didn't have to worry about touching the phone all day or worry about responding and that kind of thing. So I do think it's a good thing.
Okay, well, I think there might be an opportunity at IBL for a pilot program on the Yonder pouches, so that might be happening at IBL as well. Again, just bringing you an option to vote on, you would still have the option to vote it up or down. In our current policy is option 1, So if I brought you option 2 and you voted option 2 down, we would be in option 1. So with that,
And I just want to add, as a parent of a high schooler, the Yonder Pouch thing is wonderful. It really helps the kids socialize with each other instead of being on their phones, so I like it.
okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to action items. First is a Day of the Teacher and Teacher Appreciation Week resolution and Classified Employee Week resolutions.
In front of you, there are 2 resolutions. So this item is a call to formally recognize and celebrate the immense contributions of the Pacifica School District's dedicated workforce. By adopting these resolutions, the board declares the month of May as School Professional Appreciation Month, providing our community with an opportunity to honor the teachers, certificated staff, and classified employees who nurture and educate our students every day. California has recognized the vital role of our school employees in May since 1986, and these resolutions serve as a formal thank you to the staff members who ensure our students are supported, safe, and well prepared for an evolving world. Would we like to round robin these resolutions?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, well, I will start. Day of the Teacher and Certificated Employee Appreciation Week. Resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Pacifica School District, County of San Mateo, State of California, that whereas former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt persuaded the 81st Congress of the United States of America to proclaim a National Teacher Day in 1951, and
Whereas National Teacher Appreciation Week was established as the first full week in May in 1985 by the National Parent-Teacher Association, and
Whereas the Board of Trustees acknowledges and appreciates that Pacifica School District teachers and certificated employees are the heart of our schools, guiding and inspiring students to achieve their highest potential, and
Whereas the educators of the Pacifica School District demonstrate daily their deep commitment to academic excellence, student well-being, and equity, and
Whereas the teachers continually adapt, innovate, and persevere, creating welcoming classrooms, building meaningful relationships, and shaping the future of our community, and
whereas the Board of Trustees recognizes that Pacifica School District teachers employ countless hours preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling, and coaching students while fulfilling roles of listener, explorer, role model, motivator, and mentor, and
whereas the Board of Trustees recognizes Pacifica School District teachers nurture the academic, social, emotional, and physical development of students while inspiring lifelong learning, and
whereas the success of our children and communities and the success of our nation, state, and county are considerably influenced by exemplary teachers who devote their heart and mind to helping our public schools and youth excel, and
whereas the teaching profession should be afforded high public esteem and reflect the community's value on public education, and
whereas the Board of Trustees appreciates our Pacifica School District teachers and all certificated employees who strive to create a learning and community that facilitates each and every student's academic and social emotional growth.
now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Pacifica School District proudly proclaim its appreciation for the outstanding job performed each and every day by the teachers and certificated employees of the district who, through the gift of teaching, enrich the lives of all of their students. All right. Great. And then also, we'd like to read the Classified School Employee Week resolution. Resolved on by the Board of Trustees of the Pacifica School District, County of San Mateo, State of California, that whereas the education of our youth is imperative to our social, state, national, and world, and classified employees in the Pacifica School District are the backbone of our public education system, and
whereas the classified school employees of Pacifica School District provide efficient and effective support and ancillary services that are essential ingredients to excellent teaching, sound administration, and high student achievement. And classified school employees are rarely in the spotlight, but are always central to the activities of our schools, serving with professionalism and dedication, and setting a high standard for care and compassion. And
whereas many classified school employees serve as paraprofessionals and behaviorists, providing direct assistance to certificated staff in the classroom and giving students the individual attention and support they need to succeed academically. And other classified employees perform vital clerical, transportation, food service, office support, maintenance, custodial, and many other functions that sites and district offices need, and which provide many students with important educational services. And
whereas even as our system of public education depends on classified employees to serve students and staff, they often work in challenging circumstances and with diverse talents and true dedication, continue to nurture our students and support their colleagues. And the third full week of May is designated as Classified School Employee Week by the state of California.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Pacifica School District hereby recognizes and honors the contribution of the classified school employees to quality education in the state of California and in the Pacifica School District, and declares the week of May 17th through 23rd, 2026 as Classified School Employee Week in the Pacifica School District.
Do you have a motion to adopt these two resolutions? Yes. Second? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is acceptance of the 2024-25 audit report with Siobhan and Associates, and they are on Zoom here today. All right.
Hello.
Siobhan. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. I just got promoted up to the panelist. So thank you. I appreciate that. Should I get right into it?
Yeah, so we're ready for your audit report for 24-25.
Okay, great. I want to thank you for inviting me to share with you the results of the June 30th, 2025 audit. I'll start out by talking about some auditing standards and the scope of our audit and our audit process, and then I'll get into some of the key financial highlights and then round it out with the audit results. So the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, they put out statements of auditing standards, which we adhere to in our audit of the district. And because the district is a local government, the Government Accountability Office, they put out government auditing standards that we also utilize in our audit. And whenever an agency expends more than $750,000 in federal awards, they're subject to what's known as a single audit. And the Office of Budget and Management, they put out a uniform guidance, which is an audit guide that we use to audit the district's federal programs. And for fiscal year 25, we selected the special education program as our major program to review. And the Education Audit Appeals Panel, which is a subset of the State Controller's Office, they put out an audit guide every year for us to utilize in our audit of the state programs. And another part of our audit is the Proposition 39 bond measure. So we did that in conjunction with the district audit. And so there's the audit guide from the Education Audit Appeals Panel. There's a supplement in there that gives guidance on auditing bond construction programs. So about halfway through the year, we came out and we did an interim audit where we looked at the district's policies and procedures, and just to make sure that the internal controls were properly designed and implemented. And we also did some compliance work during that interim phase. And after the year's over and the districts had a chance to close out their books, we came back and we did substantive procedures to basically verify the balance, the ending balances, and then we finished up our compliance audit as well. So if there aren't any questions on our the standards or the process, I'll get right into the financial highlights. And if you have, I assume you have in the board packet a copy of the audit report. Is that right?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So if I could reference you to page 9 of the report. This is in the MD&A, and it's going to be table 1, which is the summary of net position. And so when you get a chance to look at that, you'll see that the district's net position did decrease slightly by $787,000, bringing it to $2.9 million. And the big things you'll notice on that is your assets went up by just under $20 million. Most of that is coming from the bond proceeds, which increased the district's cash in county. And that was a $22 million issuance this last fiscal year. And related to that, with that bond issuance, you'll see that the district's liabilities went up over 18 million. And again, that's the liabilities related to those, the debt related to those bonds. And then on page 13, what you'll see here on table 4 is the changes in fund balance. And so the funds are really what the district operates in from a day-to-day basis. And what you'll see in the funds is that overall your funds went up by $15.9 million. Most of that coming from the building fund, which you see it went up by $16.1 million. And again, that is where the bond proceeds were deposited so that the building fund could spend that down on the projects that you guys have going on. One thing you'll see there is the general fund did decrease by $2.9 million, bringing it down to $6.8 million. And then if I could reference you to pretty much to the very end of the report on page 69, this is what's known as the schedule of financial trends and analysis. And what this does is it gives you a 3-year comparison. And you'll see kind of the changes in the general fund and this last fiscal year. Over the 3-year span, the district's general fund did decrease by over 13 million, and ending with the $6.8 million. But there's still a $4.14 million reserve, which meets the requirement. But I did want to make a note. This isn't a finding, but on page 54, we do have a note disclosure there related to the lack of going concern. And I heard you guys discussing the lack of going concern quite a bit. And the information that was presented to you is much more current than what we have from this audit report. But it does summarize some of the key points in that note disclosure as well. As of June 30th, we didn't have the lack of going concern, but due to subsequent information from your budget and the declining enrollment and also your budgeted deficit spending, we felt the need to, just for transparency, to disclose that in there. And if any questions on the report itself or any of the key numbers?
No questions.
Okay, all right. So as far as the audit results, we issued a couple reports in here, a couple opinions. When it comes to the financial statements, we issued an unmodified opinion, which is a good thing. It means that the financial statements were fairly presented in all material respects. However, we did have a finding this year, and that's you'll see that on page 89 of the report. And this is related to your school accountability report card. There's just a little hiccup in that where the wrong period was reported in terms of your facilities inspection tool. So that information didn't line up, but nothing significant was noted. But the district is aware. They realized that there was a mistake there, and we don't expect that to be an issue going forward. So that's not of any concern for us. Just there was a minor little hiccup along the way there. But other than that, in terms of internal controls of financial reporting on compliance and other matters, we did not find any other issues to report on. So there were no significant uncorrected adjustments. no disagreements with management, no difficulties in the audit. We did have a little bit of a delay just because of some of the turnover, and you guys are well aware of, and key personnel. So that made it a little bit challenging, but it wasn't anything that the district could have done just because of the turnover that you guys had there. And then last, I just wanted to thank the district. It was quite a bit of work, especially with all the people involved and a lot of new folks being involved in the process. We had some members of your team really step up to try to help us kind of maneuver some of the items that we were looking for. And so we truly appreciate that, even despite the challenges that you guys were going through. So thank you very much for that. And I'll open it up for questions if there are any.
Just one question. How frequently are school districts audited?
Annually, yeah.
Annually. So every year, the government or you guys come in and look at the books and make sure there's nothing weird happening, right?
That's correct. Yeah, the purpose of our audit is really to make sure that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. I mean, there are certain things that may be there that we don't locate, but we try to find as much as we can in the procedures that we perform. So it's not an absolute assurance, but yes, it's a reasonable assurance.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the 2024-25 audit report? Do I have a second? All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, have a good evening.
All right, bye-bye. All right, next is the review of the workforce housing bid results. Is Lev here? Our Lev representative is here from Brookwood Group. All right.
Yes, Shep is joining through Zoom today.
Great.
If that's possible.
Could you just introduce yourself?
Sure.
Thank you.
To the board, faculty, staff, and community, my name is Brett Keeler. I'm the construction manager with Brookwood Group. I've been working alongside Lev, who normally stands here, and Shep Heary. Lev is on leave this week, and Shep is homesick, but Shep wanted to speak to you guys from Zoom, if that's possible.
Shep, I'm not sure if you're hearing us.
Yes, I'm hearing you. Thank you for.
All right, great.
Well, I apologize for not being there this evening. I've been under the weather and I didn't want to spread any germs around, so I thought it better to speak to you from home tonight. But I want to start by thanking Trustee Burkini for her years of service. She's done a remarkable job, and in fact, I just, having been in the position that I've been in for the last few years, I've gained tremendous respect for the work that all the trustees do, and I just want to point that out. I don't want to take too much time there, but it's just really remarkable to me what the trustees and staff do to make the school a better place. Brett is speaking tonight because he's really going to be the guy you see most often going forward if we can move this project forward, and I think we're very excited to share some good news with you. So with that, I will turn it over to Brett.
Thank you, Shep.
Thanks, Shep. I think we do have a couple of slides to show on the screen as well. All right. Well, here's a rendering of the workforce housing project that we've been talking about for a while now. We have some good news from our update. We did come back to you in January with our bidding results, where we wanted to award James E. Robert Obayashi the project as our general construction contractor for the project. We did have the opportunity of going out to rebid to the market, and we're glad to present to you guys today that we have found 75 grand worth of savings in our rebidding efforts. We can go to the next slide. We can. Oh. Okay, great. Here's the budget that we have presented in the past, and we're updating on the second black row line item will be the updated construction cost. Back in January, we had presented a cost of $39,468,694. After having an opportunity to rebid, we have found some savings, and for the same scope, have a new bid to award or to present to you for award for $39,392,961, representing a savings of $75,733 since our last presentation in January. It's the same contractor, all union, Roberts E. Obayashi Corp. Brookwood Group reaffirms the recommendation awarding the contract for the scope of the Phase 1 efforts to James E. Robert Obayashi. It is recommended that the board approve the draft agreement and direct the date for it to become effective as of May 1st, 2026.
All right, great. Are there any? Ian?
I just had some more renderings to show. But
oh, no, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
And just to finish up, this is what the 45 units, along with 3 community buildings and the restoration of the field work, this is what the units would look like. Now, I'll let you ask any questions if you have any.
All right, are there any questions?
No, I've been in the meetings every week, so I think all my questions have been answered over the last 10 years.
Well, I'm excited that you saved us a little bit more money. Appreciate that. And now we're ready with the shovel-ready project. So if there's other people that want to throw their money in the hat to help us with that would be great. So, but with that, do I have a motion to go ahead and approve the general contractor contract for Phase 1 of the workforce housing project with the effective date of May 1, 2026, and award the contract to James E. Roberts Obayashi as the lowest bidder?
I motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Well, this was the item that was spoke on earlier that I called many points ago. So anyway, that was what Rachel was talking to us about earlier. Is this, Rebecca, I'm sorry. So the next item is Joy, which is consultation and redevelopment of a possible parcel tax ballot measure renewal contract. Hey, Joy.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be back with the district and to see you all again. I'm Joy Coomer. I'm one of the partners at Team Civics, and I've actually worked with the school district for many years now, including Measure L, the first parcel tax, and then Measure D, both of the bonds. Measure EE, I started working with the district, and then my fellow partner Jeremy stepped up and also helped out with that one just most recently. So tonight I just wanted to introduce our firm again, talk a little bit about our history, and as you're considering moving forward, the value of partnering again. I know how critical, and being here tonight to hear where the district is at too. I know how critical these parcel taxes are for the district and for forming some of that financial stability. So just a little bit about our firm. I am one of the partners in our firm. We're a strategy and communication specialist. We work with districts all over the state as we talk about public finance measures. And in fact, that is all I do, is work with school districts around the state on parcel taxes and bonds, helping them do communications, helping build some of those supportive systems. A lot of school districts don't have PIO officers. They don't have people who can do all of that work. And so we really try to help make sure that it's an open and transparent process for the community, as well as you're moving through the process, there are deadlines and legal requirements that you have to meet. So we work with your other advisors. Oftentimes you've utilized polling in the past. We've worked with the financial advisor, legal counsel, all of those folks to pull together the documents to make sure that you make it on the ballot in time and meet all of the deadlines and things that you need to meet, requirements in order to be on the ballot. So the things that we look at is this ballot measure feasible? What is the best election date? And we'll talk a little bit about that. Develop that measure and make sure it qualifies for the ballot, and then just make sure that the community knows why you're putting something on the ballot. So looking back, I did mention we've worked with the district. Consistently, we have seen strong support for the parcel taxes. Parcel taxes require, they're like the toughest to pass in a community. They require 2/3 support of everybody voting in that particular election. So 66.67. Elected officials, right, need 50% plus one. Bond measures need 55%. Parcel taxes are just the toughest one. Bond measures, they can only go on the ballot in even-numbered years. So you can only do them during gubernatorial elections or during presidential elections. So many districts are looking at this November 2026 for potential bond measures. You've done yours in the past in those even-numbered years. They can only go on ballots in even-numbered years. The parcel taxes, though, can go on the ballot at any time the county allows them to go on the ballot. We've always stuck with regularly scheduled elections, and there's good reasons for that. It makes sure that people are voting at a time when, they're used to voting, so it's kind of a really nice, transparent process. But also it keeps your costs lower. Anytime the district has to do an election, there isn't a cost for that election. Right? So when board members are being elected, the district pays for that election cost. They share in that with other agencies that are on the ballot. And when you put a parcel tax or a bond, you also have to pay for your portion of the ballot. So it's nice when you go on a ballot where there's lots of other things because you share the burden of the cost. Whereas if you're the only thing on the ballot, you end up paying the full cost of that election. So again, Measure EE was November of 2024. Measure D was June of 2017. It is coming up for expiration in 2027, though. So you wouldn't be able to take advantage of another even year except for this November. And again, that would help keep your costs low, and it would allow more people to participate because they would be used to voting in that process. Otherwise, you would have to look for other dates that the county would allow. And oftentimes, they will allow for a March election, for example. So you probably would have an opportunity in March of 2027 to renew the parcel tax before it expires. Those dates are often set by the county after they get past the current election. So it would be something to keep in mind, but November is a good opportunity for you to kind of do what you've consistently always done. Kind of the timeline, if you think about it. So I always like to start at the end and work my way backwards. There are pieces that a district can do when it's thinking about putting a ballot measure on the ballot, and then there are pieces that an independent campaign committee has to do separately, because the district itself cannot advocate for a ballot measure. It can tell people why it's needed. It can, and there are legal restrictions around what you can say and what you can't say. You can say what the money will be used for, but you can't ask people to vote, and you can't say vote yes. So you'll notice on the screen I have a series of arrows, 4 arrows. The first 3 are blue. That's intentional. Those are the things that districts can do as they're moving to think about putting a ballot measure on the ballot. The color changes to yellow because that is what the independent campaign committee does. So the things that most people think of when they think about an election are actually those things under the yellow, fundraising, doing mailers, having lawn signs, doing door-to-door, making phone calls. But that all has to be done by a parent group, by people who are volunteering. It could be teachers, it could be staff, could be board members volunteering, but those are all volunteer times, not using any district resources. So right now we are in that phase where we're in the first 3 blue arrows. But you'll notice in order to qualify for the ballot and be on the ballot this November, so 2026, you have to vote on a resolution before August 7th, 2026. So there are a few steps that you can do along the way. One is, as I mentioned in the past, you've done a voter survey. That's, part of the discussions that we consider. There are always costs to that voter survey. It may not be something that the district wants to do because we all know that the parcel tax is really needed and we know what the money is being used for, so we can, build off of that base and save the district some money. But I do think that it's just important to start the communications now, help the community understand, why this renewal is needed, how much it's important to the district. We can do that through this period of awareness building and measure development, and then putting the resolution together, making sure that we have our ballot question there, making sure that we're doing community support, and then also seeing if there is that independent campaign committee that's willing to pick this up and run and show that support later after the board votes to put it on the ballot. So you would need to work on that resolution now. We would get that process started. We develop the timeline. We'd help make sure that we're moving in the right direction so that we don't miss that August 7th deadline. I will actually mention, now that I'm thinking about it, San Mateo County just sent out a letter saying that they want all the school districts and other municipalities to actually move back the date. They're anticipating a big election for November, a big turnout. So they are actually backing the date up a couple weeks. I was just looking at my email back there and reading that. So we may actually have to do it before August 7th. So we would look at your regularly scheduled board meetings and just make sure that we're fitting in that date. Just taking a look at your registered voters, I just always think that it's really helpful as we're, considering this, because it is registered voters who would ultimately vote on a potential measure. You have a little over 26,000 registered voters living in about 12,500 households. We do think that it's reasonable to expect this November the turnout will be about 65%. That's based on other competitive gubernatorial elections and voting habits and the way voters have acted in the past. You benefit in some ways when we look at school districts and we look at how they're built. We do find that on the natural, Democratic voters support parcel taxes and bonds slightly more than Republican voters. It doesn't mean that that's always true, because this isn't a partisan issue. This is a community value. We value our community. We value education. But you can see the majority of your voters are Democratic voters. About 15% are Republican voters, and 28% are everything else that you can pick. Mostly, though, those are independent voters. Your age demographics are another thing that we really look at, and it has always been something that's been really consistent about your district over the year. 30% of your voters are over the age of 65. Of course, senior citizens are eligible for an exemption, so that does help them. But we do know also that those voters over the age of 65 are your most consistent voters. They are the ones who show up and vote in every election. So they're the ones that it's really important to do some of the outreach and education with as you're moving forward. And then we just also look at the ethnicity of all of your voters, especially when we're considering communications and ways that we want to make sure that we're getting information out so that people are receiving information in the way that they would want to receive that. So kind of next steps, tonight, you would have to make a decision about whether to move forward with our contract. Ultimately, that'll decide whether I help out in this process again. As we move into May, we'll review all of our decisions. Is there a need to do a poll? Is there a need not to do a poll? put together those communications and outreach schedule, do those outreaches. I do also want to mention that the contract doesn't obligate the district to do any sort of community mailing. It's just one way that we can make sure that we're reaching all registered voters and all parents regardless of registration. It's a standard communication that we've done with the district in the past, but it doesn't obligate you to actually spend money and do a mailer. Really, the only thing that you are contracting for is my services. So the mailer is optional if we decide to do it to move forward, and we can always look at ways to reduce costs. Then we would look at your regular board schedule in June and July and just make sure that we're meeting the county's new requested deadline so that we would be able to qualify for the ballot for November. Once the district board votes to put something on the ballot, we update all the materials to make sure that it's reflective of, how it's called on the ballot, Measure A, Measure D, whatever it is, and then just make sure that the district has all those communication materials that are non-advocacy and you're still able to provide information. And I think that is everything. Yes.
Hi, Joy. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Thanks for the presentation. I do have some questions. I understand that the polling is to gauge the community's temperature about the district and about the parcel tax, but I'm wondering, with the renewal, are there options to change what the parcel tax is for, or does it need to be for the same thing it was originally for?
You always have the option to change your parcel tax when it's up for renewal. You can, change the focus. They tend to be very similar, like, attract and retain teachers, support educational programs, support counselors. When we see and make changes, it's sometimes because there is something that the district really has a need for that they haven't anticipated. An example might be crossing guards. This actually came up in a district. They wanted to be able to pay crossing guards. So we modified their resolution so that they could pay crossing guards as they, renewed their parcel tax. The other things to consider, the reason that people do surveys and some changes that we've seen recently in school district parcel taxes are, annual adjustments. That has become pretty standard, actually. So a lot of times parcel taxes are static, even though your salaries and costs are going up. So many districts are now looking at COLAs, and they might do a standard 3% COLA, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So they poll to see if that would affect support for their parcel tax renewal.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
No, I was just going to say, I worked with you on the 2 parcel taxes and the 2 bond measures, and I know how important it was to have, your guidance on all that, especially with the bond or with not the ballot language. And I don't know if people are aware that, when it's listed with the ballot language, you can only use it for the items that are listed, not, you can't think of something after the fact. And
Right.
I think with this one, even though it's a renewal and we can change a little bit, the important thing to me anyway is the outdoor ed, because this one expiring is the one that's been used to pay for outdoor ed for all the 5th graders in the district. And I think that ended up being a really unique and wonderful thing. So that part's especially important. We need it for everything else and salaries and stuff like that, but I definitely worry about the outdoor ed for the 5th graders. But your guidance with all that ballot language and the deadlines and all that is very important.
I don't think I have any questions for you. I mean, sometimes, running the district costs money sometimes. And sometimes we have to put money in places we can probably think, 1,000 people can think of 1,000 different places to put it. But this is really, really important to our district. And so I think it's really important to go ahead and probably move forward with the decision. So
Sorry, I have another question.
Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead.
When it's time to do the polling, what's the process of coming up with the questions that go on the survey?
So in the past, we've always worked with a subgroup of the board. the superintendent, CBO. So there has been a group of individuals, sometimes the teachers or parents are involved as well. And then we develop that survey. The survey is fielded. We are getting very close on time, and I will say that, the cost of a survey can be $25,000 to $30,000, so, the same cost as I-cost. But if you're thinking about major changes to your parcel tax, it's a good thing. If it's just a straight renewal of the existing tax, you may not need to do a survey, right? Because we have a consistent story that we can tell about how the funds have been used, the plans for the future, and why it's needed.
The reason I ask is because there's been a lot of tension in our community over the last year, and some encouragement to our senior citizens from people that have been upset with the district to get the exemptions. And I think that's just something that worries me about this upcoming parcel tax renewal.
Yeah, I don't think you can write the senior exemption. It's hard to change the senior exemption. That pretty much is very stable. There are other exemptions that districts can make decisions about, like SSI or SSDI. But the senior exemption, I honestly, I don't know a district that doesn't have the senior exemption. It is very standard.
It's more just worry with all of the just negativity towards the district lately.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just that is a reminder that if people are electing to use the exemption, that's money that's not coming to our district. So just think about that when you're out campaigning around, that this is actually taking money from us. So that is an option, but I just want to reiterate that maybe people think twice a little bit about that. So, any other questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the contract with Team Civics? Okay, do I have a second? Okay, thank you. All right, Resolution 2026-4-29-C, budgetary increases and transfers at year end. Stacy.
I didn't print this one out, so I had to. Okay. So I am asking for a resolution for budgetary increases and transfers at year end. Whereas Education Code 42600 limits school district expenditures in each major expenditure classification where the total budgeted amount as approved by the Board of Trustees of the school district. I'm asking that it be resolved that the Board of Trustees, in accordance with the Education Code sections 42601 and 45201, do hereby authorize San Mateo County Superintendent of Schools to make transfers between the unappropriated fund balance and expenditure classifications and to transfer budgeted amounts between expenditure classifications as necessary to permit payment of obligations and the district for the current year. And that we, upon approval of this resolution, that 2 copies of this resolution be forwarded to the San Mateo County Superintendent of School for approval.
Do you have any questions? Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution 2026-4-29-C?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second. Thank you. All right. Next, we're moving on to approval to hire Director of Human Resources and Communications. Martha.
As required by law, I am reading the material terms of the contract for the Director of Human Resources and Communications. This agreement is made and entered into by the Governing Board of the Pacifica School District and Rachel Romo, therein referred to as the parties. I'm going to read number 3, salary. A, salary. For the 26-27 school year, the director shall be placed on step F6 of the certificated manual management schedule attached thereto and incorporated therein by reference, effective July 1, 2026. Step F6 of the Director of Human Resources and Communications salary schedule is $183,153. In addition, the director shall receive $1,000 per year as compensation for an earned master's degree and $2,000 a year as compensation for an earned doctoral degree, must provide official transcripts. B, step increases. Commencing with the 27-28 school year, the director shall receive an annual step increase effective on July 1, subject to the director's receipt of satisfactory evaluation by the superintendent. The step increase is subject to ratification by the board. C, salary changes. During the term of this agreement, the board finds that the management's compensation is indefinite, and as a result, the board reserves the right to increase from time to time the salary payable to the director to be effective prospectively and/or retroactively on any date ordered by the board in accordance with the Education Code Section 35032. A change in salary shall not constitute the creation of a new contract nor extend the termination date of this agreement. 4, fringe benefits. A, health and welfare insurance. Directors shall be entitled to the same health, dental, and vision insurance coverage, health benefits provided to other district certificated administrators. Health benefits shall be provided to the director in the same manner and subjected to the same limitations, e.g. co-pays, deductibles, and similar requirements as other certificated administrators, as those benefits may change from time to time. B, life insurance. District shall provide director paid life insurance coverage of $150,000 through its group plan during the term of this agreement. The director shall qualify for life insurance provided through the district's health and welfare insurance carrier to the same extent that it provides coverage to other management employees. C, sick leave. The director shall, during the time of this agreement, earn and accrue 1 1/2 days of sick leave with pay for each full month of service rendered. Director shall not be entitled to use sick leave in advance of accrual or in excess of the number of days actually earned. Time off taken by the director for illness or injury, which is not covered by regular or extended sick leave, earned vacation, or industrial injury leave without pay, shall be uncompensated. In no event shall the district make a cash payment to the director for accumulated and unused sick leave. D, vacation. Employee has 261 day work year, constituting 220 base service days, 16 holidays, and 25 vacation days. Any earned but unused vacation days shall be paid to the employee upon conclusion or termination of the agreement. E, cell phone. The district will provide the director with a cell phone. F, mileage allowance. The director shall have a suitable automobile for their transportation and the performance of their duties on school business within the county of San Mateo. The district will pay the director's mileage allowance of $150 per month. G, professional dues. The district agrees to pay the director's dues for the Association of California School Administrators, ACSA, for the 26-27 school year. Are there any questions?
The allowance for transportation is something that's come up in conversation. Does anybody have comments about that?
I'm trying to see if this is a statement or a question. I know that previous cabinet members in the previous years, salary and compensation was much higher than this. So, like I said, I'm not sure if it's a statement or question. I just want to point out that this is a cost savings for the district. And although information has not been talked about publicly, I haven't seen it, maybe you have. But this is the going rate for this position, and it's still less than what we have paid previously to cabinet members. So I just want to put that out.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring of Rachel Romo as Director of Human Resources and Communication for the 2026-2027 school year? All right, do I have a second? Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. Next is the approval to hire a Director of Educational Support Services.
Before, I would just like to thank you, President Burkini and board members, for this opportunity to formally step into this role as the Director of Human Resources and Communications. I'm ready to provide stability and consistency that our district needs, and I want to give a shout out to my team because every strong director has a strong team, so thank you for coming. Susie, Janine, Tiffany, and Melissa and Yolanda are not here, but I really appreciate them. They've all really helped me jump into this role, answer any questions that I have, and really just supported me being consistent. So thank you, everyone. And they have to be back here in less than 12 hours. So finding subs. Thank you. Okay, I'm ready for the next one. So this is to hire the Director of Educational Support Services, Catherine Presenzi. So it's with great enthusiasm that the district recommends the appointment of Catherine Presenzi as the new Director of Educational Support Services starting Friday, May 1st, 2026, and for the 2026-2027 school year. This appointment represents the promotion of a seasoned leader from within our own community who has spent over 17 years dedicated to the success of Pacifica School District, the students, and the staff. Catherine brings a wealth of experience and a deep understanding of our district's instructional needs. She's served in pivotal leadership capacities, including humanities coach and district and Big Lift instructional coach, where she mentored teachers and led professional developments. Her approach to educational leadership is rooted in equity and student-centered systems. She's committed to fostering inclusive environments, utilizing data information, making informed decisions, and ensuring equitable outcomes for diverse learners and underserved populations. Her extensive experience, proven leadership as a coach and mentor, and her deep-rooted dedication to the Pacifica community makes her exceptionally well-suited to lead our educational support services. I will review parts of the contract as required by law. And since this item was posted on Friday, the contract's been updated to remove the COLA increase other district admin would receive. And we're looking at Section 3, salary. Salary 3A for the 25-26 school year. The director will be placed at step A1 of the cabinet salary schedule, attached thereto and incorporated therein by reference, effective May 1st, 2026. Step A1 of the Director of Educational Support Services salary schedule is $157,987. In addition, the director will receive a $1,000 per year as compensation for an earned master's degree and $2,000 a year as compensation for an earned doctoral degree. Salary B, step increases. Commencing with the 2027-2028 school year, the director shall receive an annual step increase effective on July 1, subject to the director's receipt of a satisfactory evaluation by the superintendent. The step increase is subject to ratification by the board. Salary C, salary changes. During the term of this agreement, the board finds that management's compensation is indefinite, and as a result, the board reserves the right to increase from time to time the salary payable to the director to be effective prospectively and/or retroactively on any date ordered by the board in accordance with Education Code Section 35032. A change in salary shall not constitute the creation of a new contract nor extend the termination date of this agreement. Part 4, Fringe Benefits. Health and Welfare Insurance. Directors shall be entitled to the same health, dental, and vision insurance coverage provided to other district certificated administrators. Health benefits shall be provided to the director in the same manner and subject to the same limitations, co-pays, deductibles, and similar requirements as other certificated administrators, as those benefits may change from time to time. Life insurance. District shall provide the director paid life insurance coverage of $150,000 through its group plan during the term of this agreement. The director shall qualify for life insurance provided through the district's health and welfare insurance carrier to the same extent that it provides coverage to other management employees. C. Sick leave. The director shall, during the term of this agreement, earn and accrue 1.5 days of sick leave with pay for each full month of service rendered. Directors shall not be entitled to use sick leave in advance or accrual or in excess of the number of days actually earned. Time taken off by the director for illness or injury which is not covered by regular or extended sick leave, earned vacation, or industrial injury leave without pay shall be uncompensated. In no event shall the district make the cash payment to the director for accumulated and unused sick leave. D. Vacation. Employee has 261-day work year, consisting of 220 base service days, 16 holidays, and 25 vacation days. Any earned but unused vacation days shall be paid to employee upon conclusion or termination of the agreement. E. Cell phone. The district will provide the director with a cell phone. F. Mileage allowance. The director shall have a suitable automobile for their transportation and the performance of their duties on school business within the county of San Mateo. The district will pay the director's mileage allowance of $150 per month. And G. Professional dues. The district agrees to pay for the director's dues for the Association of California School Administrators, ACSA, for the 2026-2027 school year. Are there any questions?
All right, no questions. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring of Catherine Presenzi as Director of Educational Support Services for 2026-2027 school year? Do I have a second? All right.
Great. We are lucky enough to have Catherine Presenzi here.
Would you like to say something, please?
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you to the board. I'm truly honored to step forward into this role. This is my 25th year in education, 18 of which, well, this is my 18th year here in Pacifica. I'm so honored to have served in elementary school classrooms and middle school classrooms as a teacher, also serving in a district-wide role for almost a decade. And so this truly feels like a full circle moment tonight. I look forward to partnering with the educators and the staff and the community to really move forward the work, the important work that we already have going here in this very special place of Pacifica. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yay. Picture, picture.
Oh, and with the team.
Wait, the team, go back.
Come on, team.
Hi, I'm right here in the middle. Sorry. All right, ready? Aww.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Now we're going to move on to the approval of job description for Coordinator of Strategic Initiatives and Grant Management.
Yes, so this, we are asking the board to approve a new job description for the position of Coordinator of Strategic Innovatives and Grant Management. This role is a certificated management position designed to drive the district's strategic vision by securing external funding and translating high-level priorities into actionable, well-resourced plans. This grant-funded position will report directly to the Director of Educational Support Services. The primary objective is to spearhead a strategic grants program focused on expanding equitable student success, elevating instructional excellence, and accelerating the growth of academic programs. The job description is attached, and once it's approved, it'll allow the district to begin the recruitment process for a dedicated leader who can secure the external resources necessary to sustain and grow our instructional programs. Are there any questions on the job description?
My only comment is I'm so glad that we now actually even think about grants and initiatives. When I first got on the board, I was begging someone, please apply for a grant, and got a lot of pushback on that. So thank you for everyone that's actually going out and asking. All right, so let's see, let's go ahead and move forward. Do I have a motion to approve the job description for the position of Coordinator of Strategic Initiatives and Grant Management? Okay. Motion, second. All right, thank you. All right, next is the approval of job description for Supervisor of Maintenance, Operations, and Bond Operations.
We are asking the board to approve this job description for the newly defined position of Supervisor of Maintenance, Operations, and Bond Construction. This leadership role is designed to integrate the comprehensive management of the district's physical assets with the strategic direction of bond-funded modernization for new construction programs. This position is a classified management role. It will report directly to the Assistant Superintendent, CBO. The supervisor will serve as the primary authority over facilities, maintenance, and operations while simultaneously overseeing multi-million-dollar bond projects. And then approval of this job description will provide the district with a centralized leadership structure to ensure our facilities remain safe, high quality, and equitable through professional long-term planning and fiscal stewardship of bond funds. Were there questions on this job description? Okay.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the job description for this position? All right. Next is updated certificated and classified management salary schedules. Rachel.
So these salary schedules will have the new job descriptions for the Coordinator of Strategic Innovatives and Grant Management and the Supervisor of Maintenance, Operation, and Bond Construction. We are asking the board to approve the updated management salary schedules for the 2026-2027 school year. These updates are necessary to formally integrate these new leadership positions into the district's compensation framework. The schedules represent the district's commitment to maintaining a competitive and transparent compensation structure that attracts high-level management talent to oversee our strategic and operational priorities. Questions for the salary schedule?
All right, then do I have a motion to approve the updated certificated and classified management salary schedule? Do I have a second?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Stacy.
All right, so I'm bringing forth the contract for our school playground asphalt. So I'm recommending that the board authorizes us to enter into a contract with the lowest responsible bidder for the school asphalt replacement project. We went out to bid for the asphalt replacement, which is to occur at the Ortega School Upper Play Yard and at the Valamar School D-Wing basketball court Both of those projects will occur this summer. The recommendation is to award the contract to Silicon Valley Paving, which is at the lowest bid of $490,532. And if the contract is for some reason not entered into with Silicon Valley Paving due to irresponsibility, non-responsiveness, then we recommend to then go with the next lowest bidder, which is Tri-Valley Excavating at $531,731. And it will be funded by Measure O bond.
All right, any questions? All right, do I have a motion to authorize staff to enter into contract with the lowest responsible bidder for the school playground asphalt replacement project? And the second? All right. Thank you. All right, and school exterior painting.
All right, so this is more good things to come this summer. So we went out to bid for our paint projects. There will be school exterior painting, and we solicited bids for the subject of school painting. The scope of work includes exterior painting at, there were 2 bid packages. Bid package 1 is Sunset Ridge / Ocean Shore School up on Inverness, and in Ingrid B. Lacey Middle School. So that was bid package 1. Bid package 2 is Valamore, Cabrillo, and Ortega School. Recommending that we are awarding contracts to the following companies for the corresponding bid. So bid package 1 to George E. Masker Company, and bid package 2 to KBI Painting Company. And again, this contract will be funded by Measure O.
What was the timeline again on the painting?
So the painting will happen this summer. So these are all projects that will be happening this summer. And because even though summer school's happening up at Sunset Ridge Ocean Shore, they're basically doing painting rotation. So they're not gonna do the painting until after the summer school programs are over, and then they'll rotate through.
Okay, so but for the most part, it'll be done over the summer.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, great.
Is this one of the last Measure O projects, or before we got into Measure G?
I believe so. Like, we're expending it pretty well. And we're gonna get also like playgrounds this summer as well.
Okay.
Any questions? All right. Do I have a motion to authorize the staff to enter into contract with the lowest responsible bidder for the school exterior paint project? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Board superintendent recap and future agenda items. Is there anything we want to make sure gets on the agenda next time? Or is things we want to discuss? There's plenty. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Well, with that then, if we're good, I'll adjourn at 8:46.
Record